Breaking news happening right now as whistleblower Chelsea Manning was just put into custody and is facing 18 months in jail for contempt of court during a sealed grand jury case that is happening, what most people likely saying is, of course, around Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. Major news happening right now as, of course, Ford Fisher, another independent journalist, was there on the ground, got an actual interview with Chelsea Manning, who even said herself, it is possible that she could walk through these doors and, of course, not come out. The charges that she is facing is, of course, contempt in a very politically charged courtroom that just yesterday, that same courtroom sentenced Paul Manafort. This is also the same courtroom that went after whistleblower John Kiriakou. And this is a crazy, insane case highlighting, I think, a very important aspect in our legal system, especially with the secret grand jury that is taking place right now. Again, Jason, to me, this totally makes absolutely no sense for a couple reasons. And I think there's some important questions to ask here because, number one, Chelsea Manning went through a very detailed court martial and detailed court proceedings when she was persecuted for, of course, whistleblowing and releasing documents about the Iraq war and the Afghanistan war. She, of course, stole documents and gave them to WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks published them. This pretty much was the first time that many people all across America heard the word WikiLeaks. They brought it to its prominence. What's interesting, after a very detailed court sentence, she was sentenced to 35 years in jail. Of course, Barack Obama got rid of that sentence and let her leave jail early, while Donald Trump, actually on record, said that Chelsea Manning, quote, is a traitor and should spend a longer time in jail. An actual point that Luis Mensch, the famous left-wing conspiracy theorist, agrees with Donald Trump on. Strange coincidence that these two from wild political circles actually agree with each other, as even yesterday, Luis Mensch tweeted, enjoy jail, traitor, to Chelsea Manning, before, of course, this breaking news that just happened. Of course, I answered back and got a little owned there by not spelling it correctly there, Jason, but I'm not a fan of grammar Nazis. So again, Jason, this is a very politically charged hearing with, of course, a lot of secrecy around it. And again, a lot of evidence, a lot of testimony Chelsea Manning already gave, number one. And two, as far as this being secret, I think everyone knows that there is a secret indictment against Julian Assange. I think Julian Assange knows with the precarious situation that he is in himself right now. So a lot of this absolutely makes no sense. And it is more politically charged than, of course, a lot of people understand.
Well, I think it speaks to a lot of things. Number one, the deep state doesn't care about double jeopardy. As you said, she was already convicted to 35 years. Manning was convicted to 35 years in prison. And one of the only things that I will, give props to Barack Obama about is that he commuted that sentence, let her go. And it was the right thing to do. And good for you. I don't know if it was just for optics. I don't know if you felt guilty about it. But you mentioned Kiriakou. You mentioned other whistleblowers. Obviously, Assange isn't even a whistleblower. He isn't even from this country. He should not be bound by these laws, which are essentially unconstitutional, pro-deep state, and not free speech, not freedom, my friend. The people should know what's going on. And Donald Trump has been very vocal. He says that, hey, Edward Snowden, he's a criminal. He needs to go. John Bolton has said he needs to hang from a tree. And it's just unfortunate that Manning was pulled back into this and has now been found in contempt of court. I will give Manning all the credit in the world for keeping silent, already doing so much solitary time in these prisons, knowing what it's going to be like in there. It's pretty disturbing stuff, but we need people like this to put out information. For those not familiar, this person put out so much vital information on what was going at Abu Ghraib and other sites, torture sites. I don't even want to get into the details because I'd like this video to reach a wider audience. But if you look at the things that were put out through Manning that were not publicly known, there's no doubt in my mind Manning is a hero.
Yeah, you can't say certain things on YouTube. The algorithm picks it up. And of course, downranks the video, not only demonetizes it, but also hurts its reach. But let's just think of this. Let's wrap our heads around this because, I mean, I think it's incredulous to see Luis Mensch and all these other people concentrate on identity politics, on, of course, Chelsea Manning transitioning from Bradley Manning. I mean, I was there from the early onset of this court hearing and even the court martials. I was there at the very early court proceedings, and it is extremely nerve-wracking. Now imagine, wrap your head around this. If you spent so many years in solitary confinement, which many people in organization ruled to akin of torture because you're just there in jail by alone the majority of the time for years. I mean, that's absolutely, even with some people ruling, the worst forms of torture that you could commit on someone. And for this case to be brought up again, and you have to face the consequences of either, the street term is snitching on Julian Assange when you already been through so much, giving up WikiLeaks for some reason. And again, this is not even snitching or giving up because all the testimony is already there for Chelsea with her first hearing. But you're publicly thrown into this huge situation. Either go up against WikiLeaks or hold up to your morals, standards, and values and go up against what is essentially secret courts. The secret grand jury indictments are terrifying when you find out the details for them, and exactly nonsensical because people are saying there's already indictments. These are going to be super preceding indictments against Julian Assange. And yet again, the secret grand jury is done specifically so a specific subject does not run away. Does not hide from supposed justice. Well, Julian Assange knows the situation. This absolutely makes no sense at all. But imagine faced in that public light again and saying, you know what? I'm going to stand up against the secret grand jury indictment and I'm going to go back in jail for what I believe in. Huge, bold move. I know Chelsea Manning has been a controversial figure. A lot of people concentrate on her identity. There have been some flip-flops, especially with the people she hangs out with and associates with, some on the left, some on the right. But overall, let's look at this in the whole subjective picture. Wow, this was an incredible, huge move by Chelsea Manning that is, how else do you describe it, Jason? Just astonishing, to say the least.
Well, it certainly speaks to Manning's character. And for people like Mensch to say, enjoy jail, traitor, no, you're the traitor for not wanting this information to be public. You're the traitor for endorsing a war of aggression in the Middle East that has been proven to be based on falsehoods and taken millions of people's lives, including American citizens that were fooled into serving to going over and fighting against the evil dictator Saddam and every other puppet dictator that they've put up there. So Mensch, I'm sorry, you're wrong. It's good these things have come out. People should know what's really going on. And if our current president was true to his word, Luke, we wouldn't be in Afghanistan anymore. We wouldn't be in Iraq anymore. We'd be leaving Syria, but no. That's all changed. I mean, you saw the mood change over at CPAC just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say traitor. I would say maybe delusional, maybe a little bit crazy, maybe not understanding of the full picture here. Because again, it's a simple thing that WikiLeaks and Chelsea Manning and Julian Assange stand for, and that is the right of the people to understand what their government is doing with their money, and they're spending it on military ventures. And as Chelsea Manning exposed, a lot of those military ventures are not right. They're not moral. They're not doing what they think that the people are doing. And it's sold all on a big bag of lies that's pretty based on supporting the military industrial complex. That was a major stand. She went up against a huge industry. And she, of course, is facing the full repercussions of it even now. So sad news coming in today. We, of course, will be following the case. Our friend Ford Fisher of News to Share, another independent journalist, is there on the ground. He just interviewed Chelsea Manning just this morning alone. And, of course, we're going to be keeping up on this very important trial as, of course, there's going to be now a sentencing with, of course, the larger trial, the larger hearings with this bigger grand jury indictment, which, again, everyone is saying 100% most likely is with Julian Assange of WikiLeaks, which is a whole nother case of freedom of speech that needs to be closely looked at because, again, it sets extremely dangerous precedents where whistleblowers, people who expose corruption are no longer allowed to exist and are jailed for their virtuous actions, which should be celebrated and supported. That's our take on it. You might think I'm wrong. Let me know why you think I'm wrong in the comment section below. Jason, if you have anything else to say, feel free to interrupt me. But if you don't, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more here on this backup channel, where we're going to be doing more videos here on youtube.com/Luke We Are Change.